Hey everyone. So this is going to be probably a controversial video. I know a lot of you are not going to agree with me on this, but this is something that I just wanted to talk about. And I think that these are some changes that I'm proposing that I think would better the game overall. So, first of which, let's just dive right into it. And I mentioned this in my other video too. And I got a lot of pushback from you guys, but I want to go over my point a little bit more. So I think we need less food in our bases, right? Right now you have a bunch of berries, you have a bunch of chickens, and you have a lot of deer, and then you're going to be finding goats all over the map too. So realistically, you'll never have to leave the security of your base. Now, you a lot of the pushback that I received on this was, well, not all of us are competitive players. Where some of us are casuals, and as casual players, we don't want to be like sweaty grinding from minute 5 trying to secure food. We don't want to be harassed and bothered. We want to just have a slower paced game and enjoy ourselves a little bit more, and kind of ease into things. But on that point, I think it's not going to really matter at whether or not if there's that much food in your base or not. So if I'm playing versus a top level opponent, right, and my top level opponent knows that okay, we're going to be fighting over this food patch right here, then he's going to be sending his armies trying to harass me, and I'm going to be sending my armies trying to defend the spot, the location, right? However, I think at the lower level, and I mean, I'm not looking down on you guys or anything like that, but I think you're all going to be kind of in a position where no one's really going to be harassing you even if you move outside of your base. And the reason why is if you want a slower paced game, chances are your opponent at the same skill level is going to want a slower paced game as well, right? So you're going to be exploring the map, you're going to be acquiring natural resources around the map, and I think it will be more fun for everyone. And once again, this is my opinion, and I'm more than okay with you guys disagreeing with me on it. And you guys can definitely post it in the comment section below as well. But it'll be more fun when you actually have more strategic objectives on the map. The reason why, let's say that you want to be a little bit aggressive on the map, but and you look at your opponent, okay, and he's in his base and you're in your base, right? You're like, okay, what am I gonna do for the next 10 minutes? Am I just gonna, watch my villagers gather resources? Am I gonna just look at the map, think about what I'm going to do, or just slowly, just move out of my base like inch by inch, right? And that's one way to play it for some players. But a lot of other players want actual strategic objectives on the map to kind of uptake. One objective is taking a town center, but there's more than playing a defensive playstyle. You also want to cater to the other playstyles as well. There are some players who are raiders, some players who are rushers, some players who are boomers. There should be equal opportunity for everyone. And just to put it fairly, I'm not a rusher or a raider. I'm a boomy player. I'm a player that likes defensive gameplay. I don't like to be, just try harding, trying to kill my opponent at the 6, 7 minute mark. But the options should be there, the variety should be there, and I think that's when you have different varieties, that's what makes a fun game. Now, to put it into perspective as well is you kind of need food at the moment because defensive structures are so weak. So, let's say that you move out to this hunting patch right here, right? If you move out to this hunting patch right here, now you have to defend two locations, which is this and your main base as well. And since towers are kind of useless at the moment, which I talked about in my older video, it's very difficult to actually play this type of playstyle. But I have firm belief in our developers, and I think they will fix this over time. So I think that it's obviously not a change I don't expect to happen anytime soon, but I think more people should open their minds about this, right? Rather than think about, I don't want to play that type of play style where my opponent just kills me at 6, 7 minutes into the game. I think chances are, if you're a casual player, if you're at a lower elo bracket, you're not going to ever have to worry about that. That's stuff that people at the very higher, like I would say top 500, top 1,000, that's what those players are going to be doing. At the lower levels, when you're just playing casually, I don't think you ever have to worry about that. So that's my first point. Less food in the base, give your opponent more strategic objectives, more variety. That's all going to add to the enjoyment of the game. Imagine, by the way, I'm just going to elaborate on this point. Imagine you're a defensive player, right? you want to showcase your ability to defend. You want to show, okay, I'm a defensive player. I take pride in that. And if my opponent is a very aggressive player, both of you want to be able to showcase your strengths and weaknesses, right? So as a defensive player, if I just, withheld the strongest available push from my opponent and I was able to kind of like push him back, then, that makes me feel good. Like I actually achieved something. Whereas if both players are in their base and they're not doing anything and they're just gathering up their army and getting ready to fight, then you don't feel that same level of dopamine, or the same level of high that you would get when you're actually achieved a successful objective. I hope I put that a little bit. I don't know how I put that, but essentially, if you're a rushing player on the opposite side of the spectrum, let's say you're a rusher, you want to be able to showcase, okay, I'm a good rusher and I can kill my opponents 6, 7 minutes into the game or 8 minutes into the game. You want to be able to display your strength, and you want to be able to, you know, have that mode to be able to show that, this is the way I play and this is the way I want to play. You don't Right now the game is being forced in a certain way, right? Because if there's no, once again, I know I'm over exaggerating this point, but if there is no strategical objective until like 8 or 9, 10 minutes into the game, then both players are going to sit in their base, mass up an army, and things are going to take very, very long to progress. Okay. The next point I wanted to say is, what is my next point? Completely forgot. Oh, my next point is Mythic Age. Now, once again, I got a lot of pushback on this, right? And this is something probably on, I would say, something that higher level players are probably more annoyed with than lower level players. But right now, if you advance to, let's just talk about each age. If you advance to classical age, you're going to get one myth unit, which is usually around 200 to 300 resources of value. And you're going to get a god power, which is going to be probably 300 resources worth of value as well. These two things pay off your advance time almost always, right? So classical age paid off. I mean, you're going to have to advance to classical anyways. So that's going to be paid off. And I mean, that is what it is. Now, if we're looking at the heroic age usually pays itself off not as much as the mythic age, but let's say heroic age costs 800, 500, so 1300 resources, right? This one god power right here is probably worth, if I had to pay, I would pay 1300 resources for flaming weapons any day of the week. Same thing, I would pay 1300 resources for Tempest. Maybe not 1300, but probably around 1000 resources for Tempest any day of the week. Same thing, the Battle Boar gives you 250 gold and the Rock Giant gives you 260 wood. So what's my point? My point is, whenever you advance, you pay back the advance almost immediately. So there is no strategical decision making that happens when you're actually advancing. Now, bear in mind, I understand that you're not building villagers while you're advancing. That's the first thing. And the second thing is you're spending that money up front, meaning that you don't have whatever 1300 resources so your opponent can kill you. However, since the maps are also safe right now, food is in your base, your gold doesn't run out for like 10, 11 minutes into the game, you're never going to have to move out of your base, so you're always going to be safe. So what's going to happen as a result? Well, what's going to happen is people are just going to try to sit back, boom, get to the next stage. There's going to be nothing, there's nothing to second think, right? Or think twice about. If you know that advancing to the next age is going to pay back almost instantaneously, well, that's what you're going to do every game. You're not going to want to try to risk fighting. You want to just kill you just want to sit back, get to the next stage, and move on from there. So, what is the problem with that? The problem is, if you're playing in this manner, which is at the moment at the highest level, this is the way people are playing, right? If you're playing like this, there's no skill expression, right? You're not expressing your skill, because anyone can click a button to go to the next stage. Anyone can hide in their base. Anyone can wall up and be safe, and then just click the next button to the next stage, and get get that value immediately, right? There's not that much to display your skill. And if you want a fun game, if you want to enjoy yourself, you want to have various levels of skill expression. But the skill expression in this game is basically, when do I get to age 3, when do I get to age 4. Now, I'm still okay with age 3. I think it is what it is. It's going to happen. Even if food wasn't in the base. Well, if food was in the base, it wouldn't be as fast as it is right now. But what I'm what I really don't like actually is the Mythic Age. And the reason why is the Heroic Age gives you a God power, and the Heroic Age gives you a Myth unit. But none of these are even comparable to what you get in the Mythic Age. So let's say that you're staying in Age 3, and your opponent decides to go to Age 4, turtle up, try to defend, and go to Age 4. If he has a Nidhogg on the field, even if you have 20, 30 extra units, you're not going to be able to kill this guy. You're going to have so much trouble trying to kill him. On top of that, he's going to get he's going to get a fire giant, which can kill like 10, 15 units by itself, right? So, same thing. Inferno, not to the same degree. I don't think Inferno is at the same level as, you know, unless you're very good at using it, it's not going to get as much value. But at the end of the day, these guys are going to pay itself off. And aside from paying itself off, these are going to win you games, right? Getting to the Mythic Age is going to win you a game. Whereas getting to the Heroic Age, even if you win the game, even if you get there, you don't automatically win. You are probably ahead, but you're not going to be winning outright. Mythic Age is a completely different story altogether. And another thing I need to show you guys as well is, and this is something that I didn't notice right away either, but it's something to look in mind. So look at this upgrade, medium infantry. Now medium infantry, it's going to take a while to research. Let's look at the technology chart. If you get medium infantry, where is it? Right here. Medium infantry gives you 10% HP, 10% damage, and a little bit of line of sight and range for the throwing axeman. Heavy will give you 15%, 20%. You can see there's a step up right there, right? Then champion is 20 and 30. 30% on top of already all of the upgrades you've got is going to be like completely unwinnable, right? It's going to be a completely different unit altogether. You won't be able to fight this unit. If you have heavy and your opponent has champion, you're going to be taking so many bad fights, right? And this is even worse for archers, in my opinion, because if you look at, like, for example, the chariot archer, I believe it's 30% extra damage, right? So let's take a look at this guy right here, which is here. 30% extra damage with heavy chariots, or sorry, champion chariots. That's absolutely massive, right? You're going to be these units are going to be like killing you, like being able to kill your entire army without even being able to without you even being able to engage, right? So that's another thing I want to talk about. Mythic Age gives you not only game-ending god powers, game-ending myth units, but game-ending technologies. Now, if that wasn't enough, you also have game-ending unique technologies. Look at this, for example, right? This technology right here gives every single human unit in the game 10% extra HP, right? This one right here is very, very strong as well. Not this one, actually. I think it is this one. Yeah, it is this one. So every time, a berserk dies, another berserk is actually going to get a boost from in terms of damage, right? So these type of technologies, these unique technologies, forget about those ones. The biggest, most influential, unique technology from any god in the game at the moment is, in my opinion, Desert Winds. Desert Winds makes your camels 7.2 speed, right? 7.2 speed camels running around the map, and you cannot counter this because no other unit is this fast, right? That's the first thing. The unit that's close to it, Prodromos, which from the Greek side, which counter cavalry, will actually lose to a raw camel that has desert winds and is fully upgraded. So this unit has no counter with this unique technology. So what's my point? My point is Mythic 8 is way too cheap. Everyone's going to want to get this as soon as they can. They're going to want to just camp. They're just going to want to turtle up, wait as long as they can, and then get this as fast as possible. The reason why is they can win a game outright just by advancing to the Mythic Age. And you might say, okay, what's the issue? Well, there's no real issue about it. It's not, in my opinion, as enjoyable as if you and your opponent were throwing armies around at each other, right? So let's just say you guys were fighting all over the map. There was action everywhere. You were raiding him. You were trying to like stop him from gathering gold. You guys were trying to both outthink your opponent. and out strategize your opponent, which after all, this is a strategy game per se. If you're trying to out strategize your opponent and win by sheer, knowledge and experience and tactical skill, that's a lot more fun to win like that rather than click a button and win, right? I don't know about you guys, and I know I've been harping for quite a long time so about the same point, but when I played Command and Conquer, I don't know if it was Command and Conquer, but there was a game and I played it, and sometimes you can win by just clicking one button, right? Like just nuking your opponent's base. Or let's just say you played a game and you enabled cheats, right? And you were winning by just, clicking, right, typing in, "Oh Canada" and getting like the "Oh Canada" bear, and then just killing your opponent in like 3 4 minutes into the game. Would that be as fun? Like, you might enjoy it the first few times, but you're going to get bored of it real quick, right? And that's what I think is going to happen with Age of Mythology. I think the most enjoyable part about playing RTS, and I played RTS since I was a little 13-year-old kid, the most enjoyable part is actually the skill expression from outmaneuvering your opponents, outthinking your opponents, obtaining strategic objectives. Right? Imagine you're an army general in a war, right? And you have a battalion of men. If you guys go around the, wherever you are situated, and you go and attack different fields, you know, you're fighting in different spots and thinking about where's my next move, there's actually a lot of engagement in that, right? And you might feel fulfilled when you actually achieve your objectives. But let's say you're an army general and you just hit, let's just nuke our opponent and be done with it and go home and, watch TV or something. You're not gonna feel the same level of satisfaction. You're not gonna invoke the same memories when you think about that action, right? When you're playing a game of Age of Mythology and you're doing things that are amazing, and you're, surprising yourself in certain instances where you thought you were dead and you were able to come back and win, that's something that you can think about in the future and be like, yo, that was a really cool game. And I still have those moments where I played some amazing games. And one of, like, I was actually talking to a friend. There was a lot of games where I played and I was 1 TC versus 5 of my opponent, and I was able to come back, right? And the reason why I could come back in those type of games was there was no crazy skill. Oh, sorry, there was no crazy power spike. This right here, let me go back to it for a second. Getting these upgrades is a massive power spike. There's no coming back. If your opponent gets this and you don't for an extended period of time, you're essentially dead. Or getting this one right here. Let's say you're on an even playing field, you stay in class heroic age, he gets mythic, you're pretty much dead, right? So I think Mythic Age should be a lot more expensive, right? This is not like the old game where, God powers gave you a slight a bonus, right? It wasn't like critical. God powers in this game changed the entire landscape of the game. Imagine how unfun it is for you guys just to get like somebody cast implode on you and then you just lose the game outright. So it's not fun, right? And the same way, it's not fun, in my opinion, where you're doing it to your opponent. You might be happy about winning, but you're not going to get the same level of enjoyment as if you were actually attacking all over the map, outthinking your opponent and outmaneuvering him. So I went on that point for quite some time. I still have a lot to say. I know there's going to be a lot of like debates going on in the comment section. There's a lot more I can talk about. A lot of people say that balance is going to be completely screwed up if you make Mythic Age more expensive. But if you're relying on Mythic to actually balance a civilization, I don't think that civilization is in a good spot regardless. On top of that, a lot of people say that Mythic Age is only broken for some civilizations, like if you get Implode or you get Meteor or you get Horus or you get Son of Osiris, and then the other civilizations in Mythic doesn't mean as much. And to a certain degree, I do agree with them as well, right? But some civilizations don't get the strongest Mythics. But that's not a problem, in my opinion. That's a problem for every god should have something in Mythic Age, right? You shouldn't have one god that's completely useless. And going into that point, I'm gonna just rant a little bit more. I think personally, Hephaestus is not that good compared to the other Mythic Age gods, right? You're getting what, 9 resources per second. But when you cast Lightning Storm, you get like 2 3,000 resources of value, and you have the option of winning the game or the chance of winning the game. This doesn't give you that kind of spike, right? So I don't think that's not a problem in terms of, making Mythic more expensive. I think each god in the Mythic Age should have some value in whatever it does. And I think it's fairly well balanced at the moment. I think most gods do have it. I think Uranus has it the worst. Like, I don't think Tartarus Gate and Vortex are as good as the other god powers. So, anyways, that's what I have to say about this. I hope it gets changed in the future. I hope, to be honest, to be fair, I know a lot of people still want to have excessive amounts of food in your base. And by all means, I think we should have that. Everyone should have variety. There shouldn't just be one, one thing fits all. So I hope there's different maps with different levels of food. So that way we can at least start testing it, seeing if it makes more a difference in our gameplay and if it's more enjoyable or not, right? But the other issue that happens, and if you remove all of this food in the base, there's going to be completely new balance issues, right? Some civilizations are really strong in H2. They're going to bully you off the food. So that's going to be a whole different spectrum right there as well. So yeah, anyways, I went on for a while. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you still disagree with me. I'm going to be reading every comment and we'll have a discussion about it. My only goal, right? It's not to please myself, but it's to make this game as fun and as enjoyable as possible. I want this game to last the ages. I want it to be like Age of Empires 2 that have, been active and tournaments hosted for like 20 years or so. That's my goal for Age of Mythology Retold. I just want the best for this game and I want people to have a good time playing it. And that's about it. So let me know if you guys agree or disagree, and look forward to hearing your comments. Thanks. Bye.